Hi, Angela here with the Life Design with part 2 in a series of 3 videos about how to choose a coach that's right for you. Part 1 was all about deciding what you need when choosing a coach. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll put a link in the description box below so you can watch that after you watch this video. But it's important to get your head wrapped around what it is that you need before you actually start talking to coaches, before you start actually vetting coaches, which is what we're going to do in this next part. So let's get into the heart of it. Let's talk about this second part of the process, assessing the coach or coaches that you're interested in. There are essentially 3 ways that you can go about doing this, and I strongly recommend that you do all 3 of those things. Okay, so first up, you want to ask for referrals if you can from friends, family, colleagues, anyone that you know who has worked with a coach, the type of coach that you're interested in working with. See what they think about that person. It's not that different than, say, if you're asking for a recommendation or a referral to a dentist or any other service professional that your friend or your colleague or whomever is working with, that you think, oh, maybe they'd be a good fit for me. So you're just checking that out, finding that out. Okay, so that's just one way to do it. But again, there are 3 ways, and I'm going to tell you about these other 2, and I really recommend, again, that you do all 3. I would go online and definitely do some research, read reviews, testimonials from past clients, and get a sense of their coaching style and effectiveness from what you see on LinkedIn, what you see on Facebook, their website. So those are some obvious places. And by the way, while you're looking at and looking up testimonials and reviews, just get a sense what they might be actually putting out there as far as content on the internet. They may have a website, of course, with a blog. Maybe they write articles. Maybe they do podcasting. Maybe they've been interviewed on a podcast. What are they saying about themselves? What can you get a sense of their experience, their background, their expertise, their thought leadership? So that's just another thing to keep in mind. We're not just looking for testimonials and reviews, but also getting a sense of them. The third way to do this is to actually talk to the coach and schedule what we call a free discovery call. And that's where you get to ask questions and check the fit. During this call, you'll confirm stuff like their coaching style and their approach and the structures of the kind of coaching services they provide and the pricing and the logistics of how to work with them. All of those things are going to come up during that kind of a phone call. So the information may happen organically during the conversation, but just in case you don't get this naturally through the conversation, I have some questions for you that you can ask outright. So just to kind of be ready with some questions when you're going into the call, and that way you know that your questions are being answered. So if I break them down, they really kind of fall into 2 different categories. One is experience of the coach and their approach, their style or their methodology, so experience and approach. And then the second category would be more around their pricing and their logistics. So let's just start with experience and approach first. If you haven't already gotten a sense of this during the conversation, you can go ahead and just ask them, what's your experience in working with clients like me? And you can ask this in terms of the goals that you have, the challenges you have. If it's career coaching, you might ask them about their experience working with clients in your industry. So you're maybe asking them specific things around that, or you might just ask it kind of open-ended in a way that it's, do you specialize in specific areas? So if you're interested in health, of course, they should be specializing in that, right? All right. So while the coach and you are talking, this might come up. But if not, you want to go ahead and ask about their coaching style or their methodology. Now, maybe there's not a term for their methodology. I don't be a specific term. I might say something like truth guide. I'm a truth guide. And that may not mean anything to you. So it'd be better if I kind of gave you an example or kind of spelled it out a little bit about what my style is or my approach to things. Another good one that you might ask is, how do you measure progress? So when I'm working with someone and we're working toward the goal of having a job, getting a job, well, it's very obvious what the progress is. But when you're working in, say, with a life coach, that might be something a little bit, or something about relationships, that might be a little bit more nebulous and a little bit more abstract in nature. So you have to figure out how goals are set and progress is made. So that might be a good part of the conversation to have, to ask them about that. When it comes to the pricing and logistics side of things, I would say go ahead and ask them, about how their service options are structured. In the last video, we spoke about some coaches working on one session at a time. Some coaches do retainers. Some coaches have programs or packages. Some do group coaching. And for retainers and packages, and sometimes group coaching, coaches include support in between sessions. They might offer you email support, text, chat. Maybe they have a Facebook group. So there's all kinds of different things that could be included in those. So find out those types of logistics. Also, when you're asking about that, you ask them about their pricing and the fees and what's included, and is there a contract? Are there terms and conditions you should be aware of? How do they accept payment? So everything that has to do with those kinds of pricing and services structure. You might want to also ask how often you'll meet. How do you meet? So if it's virtual, what does that look? The kind of preferred communication in between sessions. So there's a lot of those kinds of logistics involved as well. You might want to ask about their availability. Some coaches have a waiting list, so you want to ask about that if they're not already volunteering that information. Maybe how they handle scheduling. I know that if I speak with someone for a discovery call, I schedule it a certain way, and if I'm scheduling a session, I have a different way to schedule. So you might want to ask about that. And also maybe if you think this might be relevant to your situation, do you need to if you need to reschedule or cancel a session, how does that work? And then one more thing that I haven't mentioned, if for some reason you couldn't get a referral to them, or you didn't find recommendations or testimonials during your research, just go ahead and ask them. Ask them for their references or for where you can go find those recommendations. So however it goes, whether it comes about organically during the conversation or you've had to ask specific questions, this is the kind of information that you want to walk away, you want to take away from that discovery call so that you can make your decision. And that's what we'll discuss in part 3, making your decision. I'll share some final tips for you in that video, and in the description notes below, I'll put the links to all 3 of the videos in this series as soon as it's done, as well as a link to our free guide in case you want to download it. It's called When You Think You Need a Coach. So you'll find all those links below. Meanwhile, go ahead and like this video if you've liked it, if you've gotten anything out of it, we'd appreciate it. And subscribe if you want to catch that next part when it comes out. Until next time, be well.